Thank you for joining today. How has your experience of Dinard been so far?
Honestly, it's like I'm not even gonna pretend it's work. It's like being on the best holiday ever. Hope my wife doesn't see this. Honestly, it's so warm and welcoming, and this is my second time I've been, and it kind of. I've not been to hundreds of film festivals, but the ones that I have been to, this feels very different in that it feels like you very quickly create a community with everyone else who's here. It's hard to explain. You just kind of feel like you're at summer camp almost. And the way that you travel here as well, because it's quite, it's not in a major city. Usually you all come on the same plane or the same coach, and you arrive all feeling like you kind of know everyone else here. A lot of film festivals, I think, can be quite intimidating or scary. You show up, there's like 1,000 people from our industry, and you're trying to say hello, and this feels a lot more boutique, if that's the word I can use. I love it, and the setting is just so beautiful. I mean, you said you arrived yesterday, but it's like, last time I came, someone referred to it as the can of the Nord. So like the can of the North. So yeah, I think it's living up to that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you're here with The Run, so an interactive film,
Yeah.
which you hardly get to see these days. But how did you first get involved with the project? Was it off the back of your voice acting roles in games, or was it totally separate?
No, perfectly honest, it was during COVID that I met Paul Rashid, the director. Wonderful Paul, and he asked to Zoom with me. He had this idea, this kind of new concept, and it was in that period of time, right in that first lockdown, where we were all wondering if are we ever going to be able to get to tell stories again? Can we get back into theatres? Can we get back on film sets? And so a lot of people were Zooming back and forth, and Paul was one of those Zoom calls that I was like, that intrigues me, I want to know more. And from the first 5 minutes on the call with Paul, it was clear that we just completely aligned and clicked with kind of what excites us and what we would like to try and do with our craft. And the rest is history, as they say. Like, that was the first film I did with him, called The Gallery. That would have been, we shot that in 2021, and then that came out in 2022. It was here in Dinard in 2022. And the one that I'm here this time with is called The Run, and it's the third film I've done with Paul. And what's amazing is, like, having done 3 now, in quite quick succession, we have both, director and actor, learned so much about the format and how it works and how you can kind of wring the towel out of every possibility of telling stories in that way. It's really exciting, and I can't wait. Our first screening is tonight, and this is the best environment to do it in a communal setting, in a cinema, because, I hope if you come along later, you'll see it's an amazing thing that happens when you all watch an interactive thing as a group, and the way that you make choices communally is just really interesting to watch. Yeah.
Because the film's already been, so was that Rain Dance?
Yeah.
There was another festival. Did you go to those screenings?
I did. I was at Rain Dance, and I've got to make sure I'm not confusing it with one of other Paul's films. The only one I've been to with this film is Rain Dance, which, the only one. I mean, it was amazing. And also, I've never shown one of the interactive films. I've never been at a showing or a screening of one of Paul's films in the UK. I've often been elsewhere, abroad, and seeing, kind of foreign communities respond to the film. But it was amazing at Rain Dance to see what kind of the more reserved Brit would make of something that's as fun as this. And it went down so well, to the point we had this big Q&A after it, and a lot of the industry people who came to watch it stayed for the Q&A and voiced in that session that they would love to see more of this, especially kind of in British cinemas and trying to get people back to the cinema. This is exactly the kind of thing that people might get up off their sofas for, that some kind of event that's not, I'm going to see a film that I could see now on my 70-inch telly in my living room that, do you know what I mean? Like it's a lot of people were really excited about it as a concept. So yeah.
Amazing. And with the production itself, are there, because there's all these different kind of branching pathways for like your character within the story, does that produce any particular challenges as an actor on this type of project?
Yeah, massively. Yeah, it's completely, it's not completely different, but for example, the first script that Paul sends through is usually about 1,000 pages long. Because if you imagine, the story kind of starts with, like, if you were to write, Paul does write something called his flowchart, and he gives it to you alongside the script, and he kind of writes blocks that are scene summaries. And if you imagine it, you start with one block, and that branches into 2, and then branches into 4, and then 8. So very quickly, you suddenly have 32 different versions of a scene. So it's one challenge normally in a conventional setting as an actor, to try and work on a film set where you don't film things chronologically. You're always pushed for time. Those sorts of challenges as an actor, trying to think, okay, I'm shooting the end of the film before I shoot the start of the film. That's a normal challenge on any film set. This one is so extrapolated out that there's actually a freedom. Like there's a joy in having to play each moment for itself, as opposed to try to put together this cohesive narrative. You find yourself just going, what's the scene? I'll play that. Like, and actually being concerned about creating a cohesive narrative is less of a thing. But yeah, also because we're not, a $50 million budget, you are just really pushed for time. So we sometimes film anywhere between 50 to 60, 70 pages a day. And it'll often be, we'll set up a camera like this, and Paul will say, right, film this shot of this scene, but versions A through to J. I'm just going to keep it rolling, and you just do one scene and then reset and do the next version. So there are some takes that we would do in these interactive films that would go on for like 12 minutes. And that, as an actor, is just, coming from a theatre background, an amazing opportunity and challenge to be like, let's see how I can flex these, muscles that I haven't used or, in that way before. I love it. I really, really love it.
And with interactive films, I always think back to Night Trap from the 90s.
Yeah.
Have you been a player of interactive?
Not in any way. I'm a very casual video gamer. And actually, since becoming a dad, finding the odd 5-10 minutes to try and get the games console out that I haven't got out for the last 10 years. But it's hard because the games I enjoy require sitting for 5 to 6 hours to make any progress. So I don't really have time to play video games, and I wish I did. But interactive and FMV games, which are what they're called in the gaming community, I didn't really know existed. I didn't know that people were doing this and how they worked, and only through starting to do these films with Paul have I kind of looked into it more. And they're really, really popular because I think a lot of people, especially in the age of Twitch and sort of streamers, are wanting to kind of have some involvement in a game, but also want to be entertained and they want to sit in that sweet spot of kind of that hybrid spot of, I want to watch a film but kind of want to have something to do with it. I love gaming where I'm in complete control of what's happening, and so the games that I like playing are I don't have to sit back at any point. I'm hyper focused, hyper intense, intensely. And so I was kind of I don't know if the gaming community, because that's my only, I guess, experience of gaming. I didn't know if the gaming community would warm to something that was a little bit more sat back, if that makes sense. And the response has been amazing. People really, really love the format, and I'm excited to see what they make of the run. It's it's great.
And because touching on that, because obviously interactive movies is that blend of a typical on-screen narrative and an interactive gaming experience.
Yeah.
And it does seem that the kind of the interactive movies that are more games tend to be more successful and popular than movies. But to you, what do you think The Run does differently?
Yeah, good question. I think what's really interesting about The Run is its scale. To quickly talk about Paul's previous film that we did, it was a film that actually was here at Dinard last year as well. It was called Hello Stranger. He, with that project, completely set out to make something primarily for the gaming community. So he went much further on the spectrum towards that world. And what I mean by that is that it was an interactive film, but you had to play mini games in amongst it to change the narrative. And I've got to say, I absolutely loved it. That kind of essence of I'm watching a film, but then suddenly I've now got to play a whole game of mini chess or like online chess or an arcade game. And the myriad of different ways that those games could end changes the narrative. He absolutely designed something that I think the gaming community really went, wow, we haven't seen something like this, where I feel like I'm watching a cinematic experience, but I'm also getting to game in the middle of it. That was really cool. Then with The Run, he set out to make something that was mostly location-based. We were filming in Italy, near Lake Garda, and that kind of like, I mean, the opening shot of The Run looks like something out of Jurassic Park. It's like really, it's much bigger scale. The thing he made, Hello Stranger, last year was like an isolation piece in one room, that kind of like, very small isolation story. This was like, we're running through the mountains of Italy. And I think people will just love that escapism about The Run. They'll come and watch and be like, wow, I get to have choices about which mountain we're running up and down, as opposed to like, which icon do we click on? Do you know what I mean? And I think, you know, I'm not, I've never been great with horror in that I'm just a big wuss, but it's kind of a thriller horror that people who like that genre, I think will get a lot out of. The design of it, some of the like actors that we've got involved are kind of godfathers of that community. I think people are going to enjoy it if you're a fan of horror or thriller.
And finally, to wrap things up, I'm a huge From Software guy, and I knew you were involved in games. I had no idea you were Fire Knight Queenline from the Shadow of the Erdtree expansion. I just wanted to say, your character gave me so much grief in my experience.
Oh my god, amazing. Okay, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to talk about that because I feel mortified. Firstly, I'll just tell you very quickly, I had no idea what I was recording when I recorded it.
Right.
It was crazy. The auditions kind of came through. There's this voiceover for this kind of AAA title game happening. Do you want in? Yeah, of course, I'd love to. And auditioned, and they said, you're hired, show up at the studio at this time. Even walking into the booth to record, I didn't know what the game was. I didn't know what the character was. I had no idea what I was there to do. And it only transpired like kind of after you'd done the recording of stuff. Oh, by the way, you're playing this kind of character. We've not decided the name of the character yet, but it will be for this game. And I was like, oh, I've never played it. And I've never played any of the titles, and I don't know the world at all. And people keep asking me about it, and I keep thinking, oh my God, I've got to go home and play this game because it sounds right up my street. You know, what I described about...
I was about to say that you're definitely going to be leaning forward and locking in.
Yeah, like I'm desperate to play it. But tell me, I know you're interviewing me, but like, please tell me, is it hard to find my character? Does my character like only pop up like in a very certain specific area of the game? How do I find my character if I was to play through it?
It's slightly off the beaten path,
okay.
But most players, because they're used to going out and exploring, so most players find this person.
Okay.
And it is a tough fight if you're not ready for it. It took me, I think I sat there for an hour and a half trying to...
No way.
But it's reoccurring. It's several fights. It's quite a lengthy...
With this character?
It's a full storyline. It's a
wow.
full, like, side...
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I've got to play it now. That's so cool. Thank you for bringing it up.
And thank you for your time.
Yeah,
and
thank you
I
for
hope
chatting.
You have fun with The Run later.
Yeah,